Our mining revenues increased by 10% from 2019, despite the COVID.
Mary and I are twins. Mama says we must care for each other.
Have a good day.
But some people are mean to us. I don't know why.
Number 1.
Mama says I should sit at the front of the class so I can see easy. But some people don't understand us.
We'll sit at the back.
No, she can see well. Mama says everyone should be treated the same, but some people think we are different. Mama says we must help our friends when they get hurt, but sometimes their parents don't want us to help. Mama says that life is hard, so we must look out for each other. She says everyone can change. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We are no different.
People with albinism are not inferior or less deserving. See beyond their skin and say no to stigmatization.
Hello and welcome to the Business Fest, brought to you in partnership with Nedbank and Zimplats. Now, Zimbabwe is a mining economy, with the sector accounting for approximately 65% of Zimbabwe's forex receipts. On the cards are plans by the government of Zimbabwe to scale up Zimbabwe's mining production and attaining a $12 billion mining industry from a $3.2 billion figure in 2017. That, of course, translates to a surge of over 275%. Now, in conversation today is Zimbabwe's Mines and Mining Development Minister, Honorable Winston Chitando.
Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Perhaps as an icebreaker, we've seen the scoffs, we've seen the campaigns. Zimbabwe is open for business. Now, from your bird's eye view in your capacity as a Mines and Mining Development Minister, where are we as a mining economy?
Well, thank you very much for that question. As a mining economy, in very simple terms,
Right.
we are in transition to grow the mining industry from a 2.7 billion in 2017 to 12 billion by 2023. And that's way in process of being achieved. And essentially, long and short of it, that's where we are. We do have, targets by each major mineral in terms of what we want to achieve by 2023. And I'm glad to say that we're in the process of getting that achieved.
Fair enough. That would translate to a 275% jump from the figure that you just mentioned there, and in what perhaps somebody would see as very much of an ambitious target. What steps then are in place to ensure that we get there? And in 2021, how far are we from realizing that by 2023?
Okay, I think let's look at the breakdown.
Right.
The breakdown of the 12 billion is 4 billion in gold, 3 billion in platinum, making it 7, 1 billion in diamonds, making it 8, 1 billion in coal and hydrocarbons, making it 9, 1 billion in chrome, ferrochrome and the carbon steel, making it 10, half a billion in lithium, 10.5, then 1.5 billion other, making it 12. Now, if you then unpack it mineral by mineral, starting with platinum. Platinum on its own this year, 2021, will probably do slightly above 2 billion. And the achievement of the platinum goal is premised on the 3 existing producers expanding: Zimplats, Mimosa, Ncube. And then, over and above that, 1 or 2 new entrants into the sector. Now, Zimplats are going through an expansion program, and I'm sure you are aware 2 weeks ago we signed a 1.7 billion investment program with Zimplats. They're expanding. Only tied in the expansion program in October this year. Huge expansion. Mimosa is in the process of expanding. And over and above that, we will then have in 2023 trade tech investments in carbon resources having their first output coming into the equation. So we are in the process of achieving.
You mentioned platinum, and you threw in there $2 billion figure from, of course, from below $1 billion in the year 2020. Let's talk about the value addition in that particular value chain, coming, of course, from platinum and hitting across the board. What is the strategy from a government policy perspective in terms of...
The agreement which was signed between government and Zimplats provides for Zimplats to put in a refinery, which will be up and running around 2025.
2025?
Right. So that refinery will undertake the value addition. And secondly, the agreement with Zimplats entails utilizing some of the residue from the smelters to produce sulfuric acid, which also gets into the production of fertilizers. So that's taken care of from a platinum perspective.
And now you just mentioned gold. Again, what could be perceived as quite an ambitious target at about...
On the gold, we have, so I've spoken about platinum. Right. On the gold, the thrust of gold is from 2 major perspectives. One, the large-scale mines, and 2, the small-scale mines. The large-scale mines, there is huge interest in capacity. Traditionally, we have had the biggest gold mine producing probably just over 2 tons per annum. We have a number of big projects coming with, like Mashumba, they will be producing 4 tons per annum. Chiwenga, from 0, 1.6 tons per annum. And that was commissioned, it's now up and running. It was commissioned by His Excellency last month. Mashumba, the work is going on. It will be up and running by 2023 at that nameplate. We have Caledonia in Gwanda, where the central shaft is now operational, and they'll be doing way over 2 tons. So we have a number of these projects on the large scale.
Within that same sector, the numbers are pretty much skewed toward the artisanal miners who contribute.
Okay, I'm now coming to that. Right. So here I was just talking of the large scale mines. Right. You also have Neo Zim, they came in Mota, they've got the Biox plant, which is probably one of the best Biox plants in the region, which will be doing an incremental plus minus 1.5 tons per annum. So this is on the large scale mines, medium to large scale mines. On the artisanal sector, you find that the production from the artisanal sector is actually going up. And there's an initiative which His Excellency will be unveiling soon, where there is some structure which will be availed to support the increase in the small-scale mining sector. And at this stage, if you look at the numbers from about May, June, the numbers are going up on a monthly basis, the production for the small-scale miners.
Correct. Still zeroing in on those small-scale miners, there would, of course, be the issue of the formalization of their operations, as most of them run as informal players within that very sector, and perhaps as a means of getting on more contributions from them and perhaps curtailing other issues like side marketing. What is the government's stance at this point?
Well, I'm not sure. Formalizing, generally, I find it is a very broad term. But suffice to say, we do have the, first and foremost, government has come up with a trust which we call responsible mining, whereby all players in the mining sector, small, medium, large, have to follow the laws in terms of marketing through the normal channels, in terms of observing the environmental laws, employment laws, and all other laws. So that's the general thrust. And we work very closely with the Chamber of Mines for the medium to large scale mines, and for the Zimbabwe Miners Federation for the artisanal miners. Over and above that, government will be rolling out from the beginning of next year over 10 gold centers scattered throughout all the provinces, which will be facilitating production from the small and artisanal miners. And on those the gold centers, you have a number of services which will be provided, which includes the presence of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe or Fidelity to purchase the gold.
Pretty much box standard. Let's talk about another mineral resource. Zimbabwe is home to the world's second largest chrome reserves, and recently, through your ministry, government stopped the exportation of raw minerals or raw chrome outside Zimbabwe. But this would not be the first time that this has been done. It's something that was implemented but didn't exactly yield the intended results. What's different this time around?
What is different,
right,
is the fact that now we're having more ferrochrome smelters being constructed. Which have been constructed. We have Tsingshan in Afroshin in Selu. They have 5 furnaces now, 2 which were commissioned last year. We have Zimasco, who are increasing their production from about 180,000 tons per annum to over 400,000 tons per annum. New furnaces. We have Jinan in Gweren, who have an increasing output. Without going to the other smelters which have been established, just these 3 smelters on their own, these 3 companies, they put together, it's doubling, more than doubling of ferrochrome production by 2023 from a 2017 base. That then requires more ore.
Just to jump in there, Minister, you seem to be explaining that they're in the process of, as though of course there is a point that we need to get to. So the question then would be, are we ready for that kind of stance yet? Or it's something that perhaps we would...
Like I explained,
right.
Tsingshan already have 5 new furnaces from the time when the policy was done before, of which 2 were commissioned last year. Jinan is putting new furnaces in Gweren for ferrosilicon chrome and low carbon ferrochrome, new production. So just that on its own, it's new production which is coming into play, and they require a hunting for the ores. So that's what has changed.
Fair enough. Now let's talk about issues to do with illicit financial flows here in Zimbabwe. Your Home Affairs counterpart is on record for having said that Zimbabwe loses approximately $100 million worth of mineral resources to corruption, which then of course translates to about $1.2 billion annually. What is government doing, and what is your hand in influencing policies that curtail those form of leakages in this very sector?
I think all I can say at this stage is that there's a government interministerial committee which is working on that, and there's the right time comments will be made appropriately. But something which is being actively looked into in terms of the mineral leakages.
Okay, not too much detail there, Minister. Yeah. Within the same bracket, there is the current setup of forex retention for the miners, which stands at about 60%. Do you think that perhaps tweaking that very matrix would perhaps reduce the extent and the levels of side marketing in the country?
Look, the retention levels and other issues, policy issues around the monetary policy are matters which are reviewed on an ongoing basis, and the governor continues to look at that, and we engage with the relevant stakeholders not just in mining but in other sectors of the economy. So it's something which we continue to talk about.
Now, on to another subject. Historically, Zimbabwe is infamous for inconsistent mining policies, which has seen Zimbabwe in some cases being ranked as one of the worst places to run mining operations globally by some rating agencies. This is historically. Now, under the new dispensation, there has been a mining bill that's been in the pipeline for many, many years now. I think right about 13, plus or minus. When can we expect this bill to be rolled out? And what is your ministry doing to push it out so that perhaps we could be on a different footing and have a set of policies that would push this very sector forward?
Well, look, long and short of it, next year, we're in November. Next year, the Mines and Minerals Act will be concluded early next year.
Early next year. So we can expect within the first half of the year.
It's amendments
to the bill.
To the bill.
Right.
But also, having said that, I think it's also important to recognize that the bill as is a very good piece of legislation, and it's, structurally, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the bill, but it has to be
enhanced
to to modernize it with some of the trends which are there, to facilitate especially the growth of the small artisanal miners and many other issues which need to be updated. But the long and short of it is next year.
Let's talk about the emancipation of women within this very sector. What is your ministry doing to see to it that they are also considered and they can perhaps get some form of policies that enhance their operations in this sector?
Well, first and foremost, from a ministry perspective, we have what we now call a special desk.
Right.
The special desk is there, amongst other things, to look at to assist the youth and women. Okay. That's the first thing. Then secondly, in the Zimbabwe Miners Federation, there is, the Zimbabwe Miners Federation is an association of different, it's a number of associations which come under the Zimbabwe Miners Federation, which include women in mining. So there is an association, Women in Mining, under the umbrella of the Zimbabwe Miners Federation. And we continuously dialogue with the Chamber of Mines and the Zimbabwe Miners Federation. And in the engagement, we also then talk about the issues relating to women in mining.
Bog standard. Now, Zimbabwe has over 60 commercially exploitable minerals, with the real value of some of these mineral deposits very much unknown or at large, to put it differently. How do we bridge the gap between the resources that we have vis-a-vis the dire need for investment in this particular sector?
Well, the only way that can happen is through exploration. Okay. And government is this year approved over 20 exploration licenses. And we now have increased exploration activity. Because Zimbabwe is underexplored. And the exploration which has taken place was using the old techniques. So now there are more modern techniques, and Zimbabwe needs to be explored using those modern techniques. So yes, the exploration will be taking place, and increased more and more EPOs will be issued because we want to see increased exploration.
While that would be positive, on the flip side, what sort of controls do we have in place? Because we've got external players or even some internal players coming in to explore.
First and foremost, is you correctly imply, they are obliged to give 6 monthly reports.
Right.
And we put officers, the geological survey,
on the ground,
who interrogate those
very figures,
those reports, and interface with the investors as is necessary.
Fair enough. Now, of course, there would still, within the sector, the need for beneficiation, which, of course, will tie in with the stance that's been taken where chrome is concerned. Going forward, what other policies do we have in place or strategies that government is employing to ensure that we beneficiate more, we value add and get more out of our own mineral resources?
Well, we have mineral-specific beneficiation policies. And I touched on platinum, Then another mineral where we have a lot of beneficiation is black granite, because we also banned the export of raw, black granite. And right now, as we talk, we have over 5 new black granite processing plants which are being established in the country. Which are being established.
Can we speak in terms of time frame as to when we can expect those to be up?
At least they will be running next year.
End of next year, end of 2022.
Yes.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Yes.
Now,
so that's that. Then on the coal side, we have in let's say 2017 on coal, because coal benefit mostly into electricity and for cooking coal into coke. 2017, the established capacity for coke production was less than 200,000, right? So we now have had the coke battery by Tsingshan, 150,000, which was commissioned this year. We have another 170,000 being commissioned next year in May. We have another 1 million tons, which will be the biggest in Africa, being constructed, beneficiation taking place. We have copper. We have the Greater Chinoi copper development program, where you will see the resuscitation of copper production and also the construction of a copper refinery in Chinoi. So, validation of most of the minerals.
Mouth-watering. Now, of course, you mentioned a very interesting subject. You mentioned coal. This then comes against the backdrop of COP26, where His Excellency the President did highlight plans to reduce carbon emissions by as much as 40% by 2030. Now, given the need to ramp up production within some of these specific sub-units within our mining sector, how do we reconcile the 40% reduction vis-a-vis the ramping up in as far as production is concerned?
The targeted reduction, which was announced by His Excellency, is a net result of a number of initiatives, which also include an increase in coal production. So there are a number of initiatives. That's a separate discussion to unpack how that is done, which the Minister of Environment would happily engage. But that takes into account a number of coal production and a number of other initiatives.
Still on the same subject of coal.
And also, having said that, the more advanced countries, much as they are reducing their carbon emissions, they are also reopening some of the coal mines. So it's not just Zimbabwe.
So if I'm getting you right, yes, we are committed to that very initiative.
It's going to happen.
However, we are very much bullish where our coal production is concerned.
Yeah. The targeted reduction will be met through a number of measures, which, as I said, I think the Minister of Environment would probably would go into more, will be more suited to go into detail. In the context of those measures, the coal production will also have gone up.
It would be interesting to see how that ministry looks into this issue in terms of how we can strike.
You can make a contact with my colleague.
Definitely. Now, as we wrap up, Minister, of course, there is the $12 billion mining initiative by 2023, and we are in 2021. Are we going to reach that $12 billion by 2023?
Very much so. You see, economic growth is a process. It's not an event. Mines take time to construct. Big projects take time to construct. Okay, I spoke about gold, I spoke about platinum, diamonds. The diamond sector is doing very well.
Right.
It's doing extremely well, and it will achieve the 1 billion. Production is ramping up on a monthly basis. The chrome, I spoke about the ferrochrome smelters. We have a carbon steel plant being constructed in Manise. It's under construction now. It will be operational by December next year. On its only to do 1.2 billion value by December next year. You have I've spoken diamonds to them, the coal projects in Wanke. I've spoken about the coke, the coke production, the value addition which is taking place. The 12 billion is in the process of being achieved day by day and will be achieved by 2023.
Always and very much bullish. Honorable Minister Winston Chitando, Zimbabwe's Mines and Mining Development Minister. Sir, thank you for welcoming us into your official home and thank you for the warm reception.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap from the Business Fest team, brought to you in partnership with Nedbank and Zimplats. Ibn Mabunda here signing out. Till next time, stay safe.
Mary and I are twins. Mama says we must care for each other.
Have a good day.
But some people are mean to us. I don't know why.
Number 1.
Mama says I should sit at the front of the class so I can see easily. But some people don't understand us.
We'll sit at the back.
Mama says everyone should be treated the same, but some people think we are different. Mama says we must help our friends when they get hurt, but sometimes their parents don't want us to help. Mama says that life is hard, so we must look out for each other. She says everyone can change. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. We are no different.
People with albinism are not inferior or less deserving. See beyond their skin and say no to stigmatization.